Welcome, spooksters! We're back here in the studio for my spooky studio. Nice to see you all. If you are tuning in live, please say hello in the chat. I want to know which of my friends is here. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. As you could tell by the title of it and by my shirt, we're talking about my queen, my everything, Nancy Thompson. Hey, Corey! I was so totally hoping you would join because I'm curious to hear your thoughts because I know you're a Nancy guy, just like me. I too am a Nancy guy. How you guys been? We haven't most of this we were actually put away and we took with us to Horror Hound, which was such a great con. I mean, talk about the busyness that has become. Can't wait for Indy. I don't know if any of you Fred heads know this, or maybe you saw it while you were there, but Indianapolis this year for Horror Hound happening at the end of August. It's going to be a big Nightmare 4 reunion with Robert Englund in attendance. So I hope to see you all there because Lord knows I'm going to be there. Danny, hey. Bobby, hey, Nancy boy. Nightcrawler Theater, howdy doody. Duty, gotcha. I love a good hello. That's different. It is one of my favorites. But anywho, let's get into it. So today, as I mentioned, we are talking about Nancy Thompson. So for anybody who may or may not know, I mean, I'm assuming everybody who's here knows Nightmare 3's ending, but Nancy was no longer with us. She fell by Freddy's blade. She passed on into another world. But not really, because if you've seen the end of Dream Warriors, you'll notice that what I think happens is Neil is asleep. It's the last thing that we see. Neil is asleep. The Malaysian dream doll that was Nancy's, that's supposed to bring good dreams, is sitting on the bed nightstand, kind of watching over him sleeping right in front of the nightmare house. And the nightmare house is right there and the light turns on. But the music the whole time is kind of happy and peaceful. It just seems to elude. And then all of a sudden the light turns on. Now we know that at most of the nightmare movies, when they come to a conclusion, Freddy comes back in some way, shape, or form, which in this might lead us to believe that that's what's going on here. But given the music, given Neil sleeping, given the house and the Malaysian Dream Doll and the whole setting, I think it's Nancy. And it makes sense because if you've read the original script of Nightmare 3 that was written by Wes Craven and Bruce Wagner, or even the novelizations that it's based, they pull inspiration from that original script, Nancy is in the beautiful dream. The ending of the script has Neil sitting down with Kristen, or it refers to her as Kirsten, and they're talking, and Kristen's like, are you going to see her? Do you still see her? And Neil's like, yeah, I'm going to see her tonight. And Kristen's like, say hello to her for me. And Neil nods. He's talking about Nancy because Kristen is so powerful that she has dreamed Nancy into the beautiful dream. We did not get that nod in the movies, which I would have loved because then everybody would know she's still around. But then the later movies would have had to incorporate her in some way, shape, or form. But if you look at the Innovation Publishing comics, Nightmares on Elm Street, which is canon, it was commissioned by New Line to be the official lead-in to Freddy's Dead. Nancy explains that she was dreamed into the beautiful dream, which is essentially the dream realm, the good counterpart to Freddy's nightmare realm, and she basically guards the dreamers, and she is almost as powerful as Freddy, but she's getting there. So Nancy lives on within the beautiful dream. There's also a nod to it in Freddy versus Jason versus Ash Nightmare Warriors, where she's still in the beautiful dream. So Nancy, in more than one instance, is alive in the beautiful dream as the good to Freddy's evil, and she is very powerful there, which I think is perfect for Nancy. I feel like if there was something that she'd want to do because she dedicated her life to fighting Freddy, even in death, she would want to protect the dreamers and do good and basically get rid of this evil for forever. So we know about that, which will lead me into one of my two theories for how we could potentially get Nancy back. Now, my two theories relate to having Heather Langenkamp back as Nancy. There are other avenues we can go down to get Nancy back, but what I'm going to discuss is how to get Heather Langenkamp back as Nancy. Let me look at the comments before I get in there. Bobby said, it was Nancy. The light that turned on was Nancy's bedroom window. Well, actually, it's Marge's on the other side, but in that movie, they didn't really pay a lot of attention to the details of the original movie, which is why Nancy's gray streak is on the opposite side. Actually, Nancy's gray streak was not even referenced by the people who made Nightmare 3. They weren't like, oh man, did she have a streak in the original? No, they wanted to make her look older, so they had the 2, but they thought it looked kind of weird, so they stuck with the 1, but they put it on the wrong side. So, I'm gonna have to ask Mick Strawn about that part. Entertainment Wizard, what's up? I said, I think the problem is the best ways to bring Nancy back has already been done. Has it? She's been in the comics and she's Wes Craven New Nightmared. And New Nightmare is technically Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, but she's still Heather Langenkamp in that movie. Nightcrawler says, I'll dream you into a beautiful dream. Yes, absolutely. Slugliners, it was definitely Nancy in the window. Love hearing you guys agree. It was so totally Nancy. All right, so let's get into the theories. Theory number 1 is I'm thinking that Nancy is in the beautiful dream. Okay, we go back into it. But if you guys have seen Twin Peaks season 3, it was made much, much later than the first 2 seasons, but it brings back a lot of the original cast, including Cheryl Lee, who plays the famous Laura Palmer, who died. Now, Laura is dead, but she lives within the Black Lodge, and she supposedly passed on. And the Black Lodge is like this other realm, but she's still dead. So in the 3rd season, when Cheryl Lee comes back, she's not de-aged. She's not some other younger actress. No, it's Cheryl Lee as is. So Laura has gotten older. So they've managed to pass that off in Twin Peaks season 3. So if they can have that same actress come back, be dead, but in another realm, and age, maybe they could do the same thing for Nancy. Maybe she's trapped in between worlds. Maybe she's exposed to aging in the beautiful dream and she has to try to defeat Freddy before she fully passes on when she would reach some kind of older age. But she's still fighting within the beautiful dream, but she's not possessed by demonic forces in the way that Freddy is. So she's not eternal. She could still fight from within the beautiful dream, which I would love because that would not discount any of the other movies. It would still keep everything as is. None of the other movies would have to be gotten rid of, which leads me to point 2. We could pull a new Halloween trilogy and just basically do away with everything after part 1. So 2 through 6 never happened. Never happened. Nancy never died. The Dream Warriors never existed. Alice never got her power from Kristen. None of that. Part 1 happened. We skip to years down the road. Maybe Nancy moved away. She comes back to fight Freddy. And she's older because she lived. So we get her in basically kind of like the Laurie Strode angle there. But it's controversial because we would have to do away with everything after part 1, which means we would not get part 2, which is such an integral part of the Nightmare franchise. We wouldn't get part 3, which is for many, the fan favorite. We wouldn't get, the Alice storyline, Jacob, Freddy's dead, which I'm sure not many people would miss, but I sure as hell would. I'd be angry as hell if they decided to do away with 2 through 6. And then probably Freddy versus Jason as well. Everything after that. It would be an interesting story and it could be told. But let's be honest, all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets pretty much go in order. I mean, the story continues. We've got 1, which leads into 2, which is Jesse right there. He references part 1. It is a good sequel. Now, they don't connect back to it, but because they connect to part 1 and part 3, that means that part 2 exists. And there are some theories that Jesse was the guy with his eyelid who cut his own eyelids off to stay awake. But then it goes 4 through 5. We've still got the Al storyline. 6 is kind of out there, but they still give nods to the previous movies. So it definitely still goes in order and it can all be related. So it would just kind of be sad if we were to lose any of those other movies. I mean, what do you guys think? I don't know how tied people are to the Nightmare sequels as, maybe people were to Halloween, or rather, people were maybe not as closely tied to the Halloween sequels as they are to the Nightmare sequels, but I just feel like it would be an injustice to do away with everything. Let's look at the comments, see what you guys are saying. Let me know. Adam said, heck yes, I love a great Twin Peaks reference. Yes. Slugliner said, could you Halloween 2018, Nancy? We definitely got into that. Ignore all the sequels. Also, Robert could have digital makeup to look exactly like he did. I want to comment on that. Abigail Kruger Voorhees said, maybe it continues from New Nightmare. Yes, but in what way would that relate back to the Nightmare movies? Like, I know we could definitely do like a Heather's still alive and Dylan's around, but to be honest, I don't want a new Nightmare 2. I want more A Nightmare on Elm Streets with Freddy as Freddy. Bobby said, hey, I just wanted to let you know your documentary is absolutely beautiful and amazing. I've already bought 2 copies from Amazon, one for me and one for my brother. I love it so much. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. I'm so happy that you love Fred Heads. A lot of love and time and just tons of things went into it. So thank you. That means the world. Bobby also said, we would never lose them. We will still have them in our hearts and on DVD. True. If we were to pick up right after part 1 and kind of discredit the rest of them, we would still have them. But come on, it'd be a little awkward. You would be watching it and you'd be like, oh, in this world, part 3 doesn't exist. It would be sad. I would be sad. Wouldn't you be sad? I'd be heartbroken. Adam said, you could have a third person dreaming of Freddy, but also dreaming of Nancy as the protector of the dream. Exactly. That's how you could bring her in the Twin Peaks scenario. Abigail Kruger said, my bedroom is getting to paint as a Freddy sweater. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Of course, there are some other ways to bring Nancy back. We could have a prequel, which, my prequel idea, I've said it so many times, but, we could have a younger Nancy. We very, very well could. We could have a sequel to the first movie that is a Nancy Thompson in, basically also in the Innovation Comics, they talk about what happened to her between Nightmares 1 and 3 on the same page as they do about what happened to her after she died. So it's just like everything you could possibly know about what happened to Nancy. She was taken off to a psychiatric hospital and then she studied hard and had all these roommates and stuff. So it could kind of follow her into that second realm, but that wouldn't be Heather as Nancy. And quite frankly, I'm not a fan of the de-aging process. I really am not. I just think it's cheap. Use it sparingly. Same like the deepfakes, especially deepfakes. They look great, but you could still tell. And I just don't want to have a movie of deepfakes. If we're gonna have, the original cast return as their younger selves, I would much rather have it be a video game with a hell of a storyline and just digitally put in the characters all there, or an anime show of some kind where we don't have to have any of that de-aging stuff. You could just kind of create them from scratch and make them look realistic, but it's all the same. We're not trying to fit some super fakey looking thing into a movie. But like I said, if we're going to do it sparingly. The same can be said with Robert as Freddy. Just I honestly believe get another actor. And if you want to continue the story, get somebody who has the essence of Freddy or is similar to Robert, but is not Robert. And I don't want de-aging stuff for Freddy either. I know people really want this because everybody's so tied to Robert Englund as Freddy, Robert Englund as Freddy, but I just feel like it's going to cheapen the movie so much. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee a profit. Think about the Goldbergs. Think about when Robert Englund returned to the Goldbergs as Freddy. The first time he really played Freddy since Freddy versus Jason. And he did not look great in the makeup or anything. It was very different. And it's funny because I feel that way, but you also look at the comments and a lot of people are like, ooh, doesn't look great. So it's not going to be a win-win. A lot of people will be happy to have Robert back as Freddy, but I want a good movie. I don't just want to have Robert Englund back as Freddy. And if he looked like that as Freddy, I'm just not going to be super happy about it. And I don't want to have him pass the torch to anybody else because let's be honest, Freddy Krueger is like, I'm eternal. That guy has already claimed being around forever, and he's not going to intend going anywhere. That dude is far too selfish, far too narcissistic. He is going to want to do the same stuff forever. So, ain't no way Freddy's passing on that torch. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Bobby said, I wouldn't be sad. I'll just choose my own storyline like I do with Halloween. I still think all the Halloweens existing connect, even though they don't. There's like 3 different storylines for it. Yeah, basically. Entertainment Wizard said a sequel that ignores all the other sequels could work, but unless it's done really well, it will probably be a letdown. A new Nightmare sequel could work, but what is the story? I just don't think it'll be as interesting. You guys got to also think like a business because we're dealing with people who had the serious backlash of the remake here. And so we're going to want somebody who's going to bank off of something that's probably going to be successful, that's going to tap into what the fans want, isn't going to be totally fresh, but will have a lot of those elements and is still at the same time going to attract a new audience. So you've got to make it a great film on its own. And quite frankly, a mediocre looking Freddy isn't going to cut it. They will laugh that crap off the screen. I will laugh. I'll be like, oh my God, how fun. But also not that great. Bobby said, I just want Heather back on the big screen, my favorite actress of life. Amen, brother. But I really feel that she's on her way. With the Midnight Club, Mike Flanagan will probably do more stuff and I'll probably keep casting her, Slugliners. Oh, sorry. Corey said, what if we continue part 3, but Nancy's death was an illusion? I mean, it's the dream realm after all. It is. But at the very end of part 3, we still had Nancy's grave. What did she fake her death and slip away? Maybe. Maybe that's the third option is Nancy faked her death to escape Freddy or like didn't totally die and they just took her out of Springwood. She moved out of Springwood and then she comes back. How the heck did she survive? I'll probably explain it away. I faked my death, this, that, and the other thing. Adam said, Slugliner said, what actors have that fun Freddy vibe if Robert can't come back? I have 3 options. Actually, a 4th one. 1, Doug Jones. Sweet guy, but let's be honest, Robert, adorable looking. He played Willie for crying out loud. Adorable character. Robert and his little curly blonde hair, that little surfer kid from California. Are you kidding me? That's Freddy Krueger. Yes. So Doug Jones could do it. He knows how to move the makeup. I believe he could do a sinister character. He's shown it. He could definitely pull it off. Number 2, Ralph Fiennes. Lord Voldemort. You saw him in the menus. You saw him in Harry Potter. You know that he could be charismatic but sinister at the same time. And he's got the face. He's got the nose. He could do it. Number 3 is my number 1 pick, Richard Brake. That guy would have fun. He would be a dark as heck Freddy. Number 4 is somebody we don't know yet, which would be great because all expectations are, pretty much on the table there. You don't have anything that you really know about. It's a newbie. We could even do, a younger version of Freddy. We could have, oh God, we've been talking about him. Jamie Campbell Bower, who played Vecna, could play Freddy. He'd be great. Robert's voice, Doug Jones acting. Yep, Corey has said that. Adam said, I would like Robert back as another character, like a dream doctor or something cool. Yeah, a little nod to something, but not as Freddy. Michelle said, if there's going to be another remake, the key is to make Nancy the hero because she was weak in the remake. She was. But it was a different Nancy. She was, she had a different life, different experiences that shaped her. We definitely want a strong Nancy, but they really tried to explain it away. It's an interesting angle given everything that happened with the Freddy storyline. It really is, but I want Nancy's strength and connection to Freddy to come from her fighting against him, not not just to have the name, to have the name. Bobby said, I honestly feel like if they're going to do Nightmare on Elm Street again, they're just going to end up remaking it with a young man. See, unfortunately, Heather is not Jamie Lee Curtis. She's not, but she's still one of the top Scream queens. So much so that thankfully in the new Scream, they mentioned Nancy Thompson. She's growing in popularity. Yeah, she's not Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's still a Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you brought back a lot of elements of the previous movies, you could make it happen. Bobby said, as much as I love Heather, she's not going to pull in the money. Unfortunately, she's not. But that's why it's a Nightmare on Elm Street. It'll pull in the money on name alone. Nightcrawler Theater said, I would likely double down on Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy in the future, potentially. I actually liked him in the role and felt the biggest disconnect between him and Robert was writing direction. This is true. A lot of people are like, oh, Jackie wasn't a good Freddy. Jackie wasn't a good Freddy. I know somebody that was on set to basically watch the movie being filmed. A couple of things. One of the writers of the remake has spoken out and said, they came up with the script, people signed on for it, and then they came to set and the execs were like, I like this, I like this, I like this, and they just made their own script and it was just a hodgepodge of things. And then when it came to Jackie, he tried to take it in more of that Robert Freddy direction, but the people behind the camera were like, no, 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 do it like this. So they kept pulling him back and making him more reserved. So they really were directing Jackie in that, but he had a different direction that he wanted to go for Freddy. It was just too many cooks in the kitchen, kind of messy. I think they just felt a lot of pressure, and I think that ended up coming out in the end. But at the same time, a lot of people really like the remake. I like the remake. It's grown on me over the years. Corey said, Eric Stoltz, I feel, would be a good choice. Super creepy as well. Good choice. Nightcrawler Theater said, Mr. Bauer would rock too, for sure. Great choice. Slugliner said, Danielle Harris is Nancy's daughter. You know what? Danielle Harris is every final girl's daughter. The next movie, freaking Sydney Prescott has a daughter, and it's Danielle Harris. Entertainment Wizard said, one idea they could try as if they retconned the ending of the original. Nancy got a happy ending, but if Freddy returned 40 years later and goes after Nancy, her friends and family, that might work. Yeah. Bobby said, you're right, Deandra. I love your positivity. Obviously love Heather back as well. Thank you. Corey said, Nancy from Stranger Things, clearly inspired by our girl, Nancy Thompson. Absolutely. They've said it many, many times. She is inspired by Nancy Thompson. And I feel over the seasons, she grew stronger, became more like Nancy Thompson. Loved seeing her face off against Vecna. Felt very Nancy versus Freddy. So I loved that. But yeah, I definitely think that the two options for anybody who might be just joining to get Heather Langenkamp back as Nancy would be to take the Twin Peaks route, where Laura Palmer still got older in the Black Lodge. Nancy is in the Beautiful Dream. She's still getting older, but she is helping the kids through the Beautiful Dream. So she doesn't have to come in right away. They could have some nods to her. And then later on in the movie, she comes in full force. That way we don't have to make her there the entire time, do too much with her, but make her impactful enough where we could still focus on the new cast, get the Nightmare on Elm Street feel that we like, but then also have that other help. The second option is to basically insert a new movie between 1 and 2 and say, hey, these other movies after 1 don't exist, but this one does. Nancy moved away, she came back, and now she's fighting against Freddy. Kind of like the Halloween 2018 and the new trilogy rules. What do you guys think about those? What are your thoughts if they were to basically disregard the rest of the movies in the storyline? Would you be mad? Discuss. Slugliner said, what about bringing back Dr. Gordon, played by Bill Mayer? I don't want Neil back. Neil and I have beef. Joseph Skeen said, I think it would be cool to see them restart the whole thing, but the first movie should be the story leading up to Freddy being burned. In the end, the next movie could be the Freddy that we know. Cheers to Fear said, hey, everyone, how's it going? Hey, welcome. Bobby said, what about Nancy from Stranger Things playing Nancy Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Potentially. That would be a nice way to tie it in, but I don't see her as a Nancy, like our Nancy. She's a great Nancy, but I just need more. I need more of that girl next door strength at the same time, who is just a little bit more tough than Nancy from Stranger Things. She's tough, but she's not quite what I would like to have as Nancy Thompson, but it is an interesting thing. I mean, this is only my opinion though. I'm not the end all be all. So who would you guys like if they were to cast a younger Nancy? Who would you want to play Nancy? I think Lindsay Fonseca could do it. I think that Lily James could be a great Nancy. I definitely think that those are two actresses who are a little bit older, but still younger, that could do Nancy justice. Adam said, I would definitely prefer the Twin Peaks route over the Halloween 2018 route. The Halloween 2018 route just feels lazy at this point. Fair. Corey said, or what if we have a new survivor resurrect Nancy? That would be interesting. A seance. The camera captain. Jeez. Ruben Rabah says, Fred, Google it. If you guys watch, I think you should leave. You'd get that. Bobby said, I say cast Deandra Laser. Hey, you know what? Listen, we're going to have a very serious conversation come close. You might have to zoom in later on. I don't know. I would love to play Nancy. It would be great. Like a small throwback role to Nancy, even as a stand-in. I would be so honored. But just have me in the background. If they do not call me and say, hey, do you want to be an extra in this movie? I will flip my crap. And if after it comes out, if they didn't call me there, fine, whatever. And they don't invite me to the premiere, there will be problems. There will be consequences, Warner Brothers and Craven Estate. Watch yourselves. Slugliner said, I'd be okay with ignoring sequels, multiple timelines, and Halloween, Star Trek, etc. Works fine. Very, very true. Who knows? Sky's the limit. We are storytelling here. Nightcrawler Theater said, I kind of tend toward Twin Peaks route. It may or may not be the riskiest, but it has the most potential for character justice, which I'm totally a fan of. Whatever is well written, though. Amen. Michelle said, I just had a thought. It would be kind of cool to put the whole cast of Stranger Things in Nightmare on Elm Street reimagining. It would never happen, but it would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. Again? Camera captain said, again? Yes. So yeah, if I got the prompt for you guys, what do you think of my two suggestions? What do you think some alternate routes would be? And then if they were to cast a younger Nancy who, let's say, didn't die or just have a younger Nancy at some point, who do you think would be good? My number one choice is Lily James. Number two would be Lindsay Fonseca. I think that they could do a really great job. I think they could have that girl next door charm with the spunkiness and the fierceness of Nancy. Corey said they better watch it. Warner Brothers going to end up with Merritt on the list. It's going to be Merritt. Warner Brothers. She's still up there. I don't think anybody could touch her. She's public enemy number one. Merritt. But anywho, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate your answers. I really appreciate you chiming in here with me. Love talking to you guys. It was time to talk about, Nightmare and stuff like that. We are working on the next episode of Snacks and Screams, and we're almost done with the script. We filmed some great footage at Horror Hound, which will be coming out. And the captain and I have also been working on an idea for another something. But we have plans throughout the year for more content to be pretty darn exciting. And we can't wait to show it with you guys because if things work out the way that we hope, there will be some POV that really hasn't been done before. And that'll be cool. Michelle said, I've always wanted to see a screen adaptation of the Freddy origin story from the book, tie in the first 3 movies. So good to see you back. Definitely plan to go to Indy. Great. I'll see you there, Corey. I want the Freddy origin story. I do. It would be great. It would be cool. I still think it would work better as an HBO series. Um, Prime, big budget, but, can still go really all in and just last for, like, so many episodes, so you could get really in there. But I still think I would much rather it follow Don Thompson. He's the main character. Marge is there. The crumbling of the Thompson family unit, the search for the Springwood slasher, but you get some video of the young Freddy in the shadows. He comes out more as the series progresses and they get closer to him, and maybe young Freddy is Jamie Campbell Bower. And Don Thompson is played by, hold on a second. Let me Google him. Let me Google him. Let me Google him. I want to give his name. David Harbour, aka Sheriff Jim Hopper from Stranger Things. He would freaking kill it. If you haven't seen We Had a Have a Ghost yet, he plays a ghost and he's got a comb over, and I'm like, man, he could totally work the Donald Thompson comb over. He's already got the cop energy. He's already got the dad energy. I think it would be a pretty sick Don Thompson. He's my vote. But thank you. Part 3 would be great. David Harbour and Jamie Campbell Bower. Awesome. Imagine it. Cast young Marge. I still think they really nailed it with Connie Britton. She was the perfect Marge for the remake. She just had that energy, There's definitely more people out there. I don't know, Toni Collette as Marge. I don't know. She's about the same age, so we could get somebody younger. But if we were to get younger Nancy, Lily James, David Harbour as young Donald Thompson, Jamie Campbell Bower as young Freddie, or older Freddie could be, any of the 3 gentlemen that I listed. Somebody unknown. We'll see. I think there's a lot of talent out there who could really knock it out of the park. Timothy Oliphant would be a great detective. He would be great. But I think David Harbour in that role, especially in a series, would just be terrific. Honestly, Emmy-worthy stuff from him, I think. Emmy-worthy stuff. Give me the true crime angle. Give me the horror angle. Make it just a really good frickin' show. And I think it would appeal to both horror audiences and the masses. And it would probably be so damn popular, honestly. I got this feeling in my gut, in my heart, in my head, in my vibes that a Nightmare prequel like that would just tear it up. So, Confessions of Freddy Krueger kind of have that angle in it too, Great fan film, but something like that. So, anywho, thanks guys for tuning in. I will see you next week. Leave your comments if you have more ideas, maybe later on, below, and let me know what you think about my ideas. Let me know what you think about my comments about not de-aging Freddy, who could potentially play who in a new movie or TV show. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And for anybody wondering kind of what's happening, Mike Flanagan is one of the number 1 people I would love to see be the person behind A Nightmare on Elm Street, but he has revealed that he doesn't know who the heck to pitch the idea to. Nobody does. He's spoken to his agents and they're just super confused about who to pitch to. So somebody out there be like, come to a conclusion. Let Mike Flanagan pitch you the idea. Let him rock it. Put these amazing people in it. Let's get A Nightmare on Elm Street back on track and give your girl a call. You can find my number. You message me. Y'all have talked to me through Warner Brothers before. You can get me. I'm more than happy. Don't just call me for promotion. I want more. Please. Okay, love you all. Thanks so much for coming. Watch good movies. Jason and I are on our way now to watch either Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, or I Am Nancy. So I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Watch good horror movies and goodbye.